Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing show this evening. We're going to talk about John O'Brien, a really wonderful intelligence community chief, very honest, never committed perjury, along with James Clapper. So, one person actually spied on Dianne Feinstein's Senate panel during President Obama's administration. His name was John O'Brien, and of course he did not tell the truth pertaining to his activities regarding Dianne Feinstein's Senate panel investigating George W. Bush. So, we're going to talk about Mr. Brennan and Mr. Clapper and Mr. Comey's role in setting up and framing Trump. Trump was never indicted or charged for January for tax returns, for pressuring Zelensky, and especially not for colluding alongside Russian operatives, which was the brainchild of maniacs. They literally purchased 4 years of a very, very harmful fake news hoax. Hit subscribe right this second to this channel. We are almost at 185,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. Tell your friends about this channel. Tell anybody you know who might enjoy my work. I was just published in the Federalist, ladies and gentlemen. The article is Why Are Democrats Hurtling the United States Towards a Stock Market Crash, Despite Recent Hedge Fund Disasters and Almost Every Economic Indicator Pointing to a Stock Crash? Biden's administration has completely ignored the equities bubble. I'll put the link to that article right here below, also in the pinned comment, but within the chat. So please share that everywhere. And also, please subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. I have almost 18,000 subscribers there. I just started it. And here's the Stock Market Crash channel link. Subscribe there, ladies and gentlemen. Eric and Luke, thank you. Eric has a YouTube and an Odyssey channel. Subscribe to Eric's Odyssey and Gaming YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to a person who knows everything about the Central Intelligence Agency, or John Brennan. He used to work there, and he is actually a true whistleblower, and he paid the price, not like the Facebook person who is essentially simply parroting Democratic Party talking points because they want to suppress more dialogue. They're actually trying to tie their quest for greater silencing of dissent with actual harm that sometimes is spread through Facebook and social media forums. But again, the main goal is to uphold their definition of democracy, which means anything beneficial to Trump. For example, Hunter's emails that actually show an email that says, "How can you use your influence on behalf of the company?" Well, we can't talk about that. By the way, the New York Post was vindicated. They were 100% right from the very beginning. But here, let's listen to this. This is a segment on Tucker, and we'll break this down. This is John Kiriakou talking about, and we'll get to Devin Nunes in a second, talking about Brennan's role.
Of U.S. Attorney John Durham. John Kiriakou is interested in what he said because he's a former CIA officer and a whistleblower who went to jail for doing less than John Brennan apparently has done. And what about that point, John? Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
But you, as someone whose life was turned completely upside down, was kind of destroyed for a while, see a guy like Brennan just committing perjury in public and nobody cares. How does that make you feel?
That seems to be what we're seeing now. If the New York Times is to be believed, John Brennan was saying one thing on Capitol Hill and on MSNBC, where he's now a paid talking head, and saying another thing internally to his own people and Jim Comey, who was FBI director at the time. So we know that John Durham, the U.S. attorney for the state of Connecticut, who's doing this investigation, has now asked for and will receive call logs from John Brennan, emails from John Brennan during the time that he was the CIA director, as well as contemporaneous notes that Brennan took when he was meeting with these other leaders. So What are we looking at here? Are we looking at one of these or many of these process crimes, making a false statement, perjury, conspiracy? That seems to be what John Durham is thinking of. And just a couple of weeks ago, Tucker, John Durham said that his investigation is not an inquiry. It's an investigation, and it's a criminal one.
So it's a special counsel now from this segment to my super chat, by the way. I can't do this without you. Canned pears. Can we get more scarf for good? Canned pears. Thank you so very much. One of the great names in this channel's history, ladies and gentlemen. Canned pears. Give it up for canned pears. Thank you so very much, canned pears. Thank you. Can we get more scarf? Can I tell you, this is very comfy. Canned pears. Thank you so very much. To my super chat, I was about to say, I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. So I cannot do this without you. I'm going to try to do a long live stream this evening. The only one for the evening. I'll try to do a pretty long one. But I can't do this without you. So, canned pears, thank you so very much for starting it off. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Let's continue with this. So, basically, John Kiriakou is a hero. He is awesome. He is somebody who actually tried to reveal wrongdoing and paid the price for it. It's interesting how people who blow the whistle, when you really are doing something patriotic for the country, you get jail time. When you really are doing something, and what he did is tied to what Brennan tried to cover up. So he tried to reveal what Brennan tried to cover up. And when it's funny, when you are a true, like a patriot, somebody who tries to help this country by informing the world, hey, you know what, there's some massive corruption going on here. There's some law breaking. There's I have to disclose something that is un-American, which is what John Kiriakou disclosed, for the benefit of the country, so we don't go in a very despicable direction. And while John Kiriakou was trying to tell the world about a certain tactic that everyone frowns upon and that is actually puts us all at risk, Brennan was lying about that under oath. So there you go. There's the difference. There's the difference between a man. So Brennan is probably paid a great deal, probably has millions, and his job was lying. It's interesting in our world, on this planet, how the honesty and truth can get you in jail, can get you imprisoned. Julian Assange should be free. Okay? He published whistleblowers. He's a publisher. The New York Times, The Guardian won Pulitzer Prizes because of what he published. Okay? Or what he helped publish. Everybody on the planet was reprinting and publishing the same DNC emails that Assange initially published. They didn't get him. Again, you just use basic logic. They haven't charged or indicted Trump on working with Putin, or January, or his tax returns, or pressuring Zelensky, or anything else they accuse him of. They never indicted or charged Julian Assange with working alongside Russian operatives, because they have no clue how he obtained the DNC emails. They never charged Julian Assange with working alongside Russian operatives or acquiring any material from Putin or Russia or anything else. They don't have the evidence. They don't have the knowledge. They have a confidence level and a hunch, which is another way of saying they're making things up. But look at what took place. Look at Chelsea Manning. Look at Julian Assange. Look at John Kiriakou. Look at Jeffrey Sterling. Look at Edward Snowden, who's living in Russia. All of these people were either imprisoned or had to flee the country. And then look at Brennan, Clapper, Comey, Strzok, McCabe. They have books. They are pandering. So they sold their soul to one political side. And it worked out. Up until recently, it's been working out quite well. Okay, they're not imprisoned. The people who tell the truth about something are imprisoned. The reason, look, Assange should be free. Okay? And I wrote numerous articles on the Daily Caller, Times of Israel, Huffington Post, on why this man should be free. The country of Australia should defend him. He's their citizen. He's also a citizen of Ecuador. But the reason that he is imprisoned is because he told the truth about the United States establishment and the establishment of other countries, both left and right, both Democrat and Republican. But the Democrats really tried to, in a very malicious way, go after him because of the DNC emails that showed that Bernie Sanders was cheated. You know, nobody talks about, it's only been 5 years. Nobody talks about the DNC emails but me. Okay? Do you understand? Nobody on the planet talks about but me. Here and there it's mentioned. It was a profound moment in American history. And you would think that people care. You would think that people want, you would think that it would be, it changed the way I thought about life, okay? It changed the way I thought about life. It helped me, get the courage to leave the left. Now, that's not what the goal is. In fact, I understand that there are a great many, I think probably most supporters of Julian Assange who are on the far left or the left. And there's a great many who are Trump supporters like myself, voters for Trump. But I started on the left. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. You know who defended Julian Assange more than Bernie Sanders? Trump. Pompeo, yes, I'm not a fan of Pompeo, but he shared the DNC emails during the campaign. You have the future Central Intelligence Agency Director and Secretary of State sharing the DNC emails. And President Trump, has a different outlook than Clinton and President Obama. And where was Bernie Sanders? I mean, Bernie Sanders is not only silent about, the DNC cheating him not only 1 year, but also last year in Iowa. I mean, because he was railroaded again last year. But where is he defending Assange? Where is AOC? Where are all these hardcore leftists? Don't they want the truth? Of course they don't. Of course they don't want the truth. They want the truth hidden. But this is the thing. You get imprisoned for the truth in our world. It's unbelievable. It's exactly the opposite of what you're taught growing up. It's exactly the opposite of what you're taught. And it was actually a good thing that the world learned, a really good thing, because we know they're pretty much capable of anything. If they can have a primary and cheat a candidate and tell the world that their primary is fair and neutral, they're capable of anything. They can't even run a functioning primary. They don't even know how to not cheat when it's just Democrats. That's why Andrew Yang left. These people touch themselves in ecstasy when they pontificate and judge and condemn, and they are the biggest liars and hypocrites and phonies and fakes you've ever seen in your life. Look at how they treat Jimmy Dore. That's all you need to know. And look at how they treat AOC. Or look at how they treat the $20 million venture capital people. Look at how Bernie Sanders couldn't even endorse Cenk Uygur. Why not? I actually agree with Uygur on this. How is Bernie Sanders not endorse him? He gave Bernie a platform, 3-4 million subs or whatever, but $20 million in venture capital funding. How does Bernie I endorse you, and then I unendorse you. I endorse you, and unendorse. Endorse, unendorse. Endorse, unendorse, endorse, unendorse, endorse, unendorse. I unendorse you. Why? Because the movement is bigger than just one person. All it takes is a Twitter mob to get Bernie Sanders to just do anything. But I mean, I know I'm ranting and raving. Maybe this is the therapy session for me, but how do you accept being railroaded and cheated? And you don't even, you know what? I would respect Bernie Sanders a lot more, and I think he's a good human being, but you don't even address, like, Trump will take your cranium. If he was cheated by the Republicans, he would have taken their cranium and bit into the skull like an actual orange monster. He would have decimated, and if they dared do anything to Trump, which they wanted to do, and then eventually they got him with Trump Russia. You think Trump would allow the RNC, born to raise hogs? Thank you so very, very much. Born to raise hogs. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough, Born to Raise Hogs. Thank you so very, very much. I can't thank you enough. Speaking of food prices, they're through the roof. They're through the roof. Born to Raise Hogs, thank you so very, very much. One of the many, many reasons we're heading towards a stock market crash. Born to Raise Hogs, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much to my super chat. Thank you. And I'll get off this topic, but how do you get cheated? I want to know this mentality, this weak, inept mentality. How do you get cheated, and then you don't even have the courage to acknowledge that the political party you sold your soul to, that will never ever implement any of your policies, and don't say, oh well, he Bernie Sanders moved them left, like towards the left. Literally, none of his policies were ever implemented. Medicare for all, Green New Deal, even his foreign policy, which I thought was the reason I was such an avid Bernie Sanders supporter, is I thought that he would do what Trump did. Okay? Trump negotiated the Doha Agreement. Trump reversed single-handedly U.S. foreign policy. This is a fact. Okay? I remember speaking to one person about this issue, and he was like, well, climate change affects the planet, but foreign policy people they decide to go into the military. This is the hysterical mindset of the morally superior left. It's completely irrational. Yeah, it's completely irrational for a million reasons. But anyway, the mentality on the left is just play ball with the Democratic Party. Just play ball with the Democratic Party, and that's it. Just play ball with the Democratic Party because Republicans are worse. But that allows them to get away with anything. If you enable an alcoholic, for example, the person will never get better. If you enable a corrupt political organization, this is such a simple concept. This is such a simple concept. You don't even need to have a functioning brain cell. You don't even need to have even half of a functioning brain cell. Trump, if he was ever cheated, would have taken the RNC by the head and bit into the cranium and past the skull and just ripped out brain, okay, he would have done this gleefully and happily. He would have completely obliterated the Republican Party if they even dared cheat him. Once that happened to Bernie Sanders, he said, "Thank you, may I have another? May I have yet another? Oh, well, this is fantastic. Yes, can I, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, Elizabeth Warren, thanks for letting everybody know that I never said a woman couldn't win. Oh, I'm sorry. Individual formerly known like Prince. Like, what do I refer? A woman, yes, okay. I never said a woman couldn't win, Lizzie. Elizabeth Warren, spreading gossip. My gosh, the Michigas Yenta. Spreading gossip yet again that I said that a woman couldn't win. Why would you do this to me, Elizabeth Warren? Remember, Elizabeth, when you backed me and supported me, and we are basically the same person in 2016? Remember that, when I needed your support? That's what friends are for. Remember that? Oh, that's right, you didn't support me, did you? No, you went to Madam Secretary, who would literally do everything the opposite of what you want. But then again, that's what friends are for. He doesn't care. He just is an actor, this man. He's a good human being. I'm not going to condemn him as... He's probably, in his socialist brain, convinced himself that being cheated and being used as a doormat is actually a good thing. So, Florida Man Bear! Florida Man Bear, thank you! Florida Man Bear, thank you so very, very, very much. Florida Man Bear, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I hope all is well. I hope all is well, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Florida Man Bear, hope all is well. Hope you're doing well. Again, this thing is... Oh, my God. Should have used Lysol. Anyway. Florida Man Bear, thank you. Thank you. Florida Man Bear, thank you so very, very much. So, what I'm trying to say in my long-winded manner is that Florida Man Bear and Born to Raise Hogs, everybody here, is that, yes, Tammy, the mosquito is back. When you, politics is such a disingenuous, deceitful game. It's such a disingenuous and deceitful game. And it's like you would think that people who get deceived... Colonel Angus, I'm going to get some. Thank you. Thank you. Brown gets pretty less. Florida Man Bear, hello. Thank you. So, what I'm trying to say is that John Kiriakou, he is somebody who is the anti-Brennan. He's the anti-Brennan. You have to understand also, these people, the people who revere Brennan are the same people who would go to the restroom in their pants if Brennan descended upon them. They would, if Brennan and Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Clapper treated them the way they treat Trump, See, Trump fights back. See, this is the thing with Trump and Democrats and media and morally superior liberals and also Republicans. The never-Trump Republicans did this to Trump more so than even Brennan. I mean, look, if Durham could go after the Republicans who helped foster this, that would be great. The problem is they sat on the sidelines and enabled it all to happen. They technically didn't commit a crime. Mitt Romney didn't commit a crime. Richard Burr, Paul Ryan, McCain, none of these people really committed any. The Republicans didn't commit crimes. It was the political operatives aligned with Democrats who did. But the Republicans basically were complicit. The Republicans investigated a Republican president. I mean, who does this? And they didn't do so because of principle. They just didn't like him. So they got him in the end. They got him. They couldn't get him. They couldn't get him in the beginning. Oh, and guess what? They also had a bogus investigation against Bernie Sanders. Okay? They went after Trump initially, and he said, if you dare, I'm going to absolutely destroy the Republican Party, so don't do it. And so the Republicans said, oh, okay, well, we won't do it. We won't do it. We'll get you when you're president. So you didn't see Mitt Romney defending Michael Flynn or George Papadopoulos. You didn't see Richard Burr. If anything, Richard Burr, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the man who sold stocks right after a classified briefing. Again, the man who sold stocks, the Republican, the good Republican who sold stocks along with Dianne Feinstein and Kelly Loeffler right after a classified briefing. Again, right after a classified briefing saying that the imbecile experts were going to shut down and end the American economy as we know it, which is exactly why we're going to have a stock market crash and another devastating crisis, because mashed potato brains and his bumbling band of highly educated imbeciles and buffoons are completely clueless about everything. Oh, by the way, do you want to know why mashed potato brains and bumbling Blinken messed over France? You want to know how much money? It was only $65 billion. Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but why didn't you just let them have their submarine deal? But what was so important that we had to take their submarine deal for $65 billion? That's like nothing. This is $3.5 trillion. And actually, the price tag's supposed to be close to $5 trillion overall. Okay? We ruined our relationship with France for $65 billion. Is that worth it? Now, if China decides to invade Taiwan, France is like, you know what? We'll do things. We'll address it diplomatically our own way. We're not gonna support you, U.S. That's the only way to defend Taiwan is through a diplomatic coalition, and mashed potato brains ruin that. Okay, all for $65 billion, something like that. Okay, does that make any sense at all? Does that make any sense at all? And then they talked about Trump. Oh, he's not good for our allies. I don't remember one of the UN Security Council nations withdrawing their ambassador from the U.S. I don't remember that. I don't remember France or anyone else withdrawing their ambassador, aside from Russia. But anyway, let's listen to John Kiriakou.
Brennan would have had to have known this, correct? I mean, he was at the very center of this. For him to say confidently the Steele dossier played no role in the FISA warrants, just common sense tells you he would likely have known that to be untrue when he said it.
Absolutely, just like he would have known that the Steele dossier began as opposition research. But he wasn't honest about that, and neither was Jim Comey. We know that they lied to the FISA court. We know that they lied multiple times to the FISA court in order to renew the warrant against Carter Page. You know, I think that at that level, with everything being classified and with their arrogance at the same time, I think that they think they can just get away with it, that the truth isn't going to come out at the end. And now it looks like it will come out.
It's, you know, I want it because I love the country.
Of course it's going to come out. It's going to take time. When people say, oh, nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen. Oh, nothing's ever going to happen. Florida Man Bear, thank you. Born to Raise Hogs, thank you. When people say, well, nothing's ever going to happen. Well, what do you expect? What do you expect to take place? It took 4 years for them to set up and frame Trump. I mean, it didn't take 4 years to set up and frame Trump, but they obsessed over it. They're still obsessing over Russia. This was it took them a long time with a lot of people. You have Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, Kleinsmith, Sussman, all of these people. Lisa Page, the lovely Lisa Page. All of these people, they're all household names now. Everyone knows who they are. Everyone knows they set up and framed Trump, even Democrats. But Democrats don't care. See, the mind of a morally superior liberal and the Lincoln Project buffoon and imbecile who, by the way, the Lincoln Project people and Bill Kristol opposed marriage equality. So Bill Kristol, who helped start this publication, do they not know? I think it's called The Bulwark. Does the internet, does Twitter not know that these people opposed marriage equality? There are endless articles in liberal publications and interviews with these people opposing marriage equality, wanting a marriage amendment, and other issues pertaining to foreign policy. They've been wrong on everything. From Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, they're wrong on everything. And these people look at January as, you know, the biggest crime against humanity, but Trump was never charged. Trump was never charged. He was never charged or indicted. And the Lincoln Project, even with their founder, completely disgraced, but they still keep on. These people are like, they're such narcissists, they don't realize that nobody in the there's not one person in the Republican Party, not that I'm a lifelong Democrat, but I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on in the Republican Party voting for Trump. There's not one person who would even think of voting for Trump. 73 million Americans don't care if the Lincoln Project or Bill Kristol or any Never Trumper ceased to be part of politics ever again. They don't care. The ideas of Cheney or the viewpoints of Kinzinger or Bill Kristol or the Lincoln Project, they're completely and utterly irrelevant and meaningless to anyone even thinking of voting for Trump next year. Even to a person who is a lifelong liberal who says, you know what, I'd rather have Trump. Even to a person who voted for Biden last year who's saying, I can see myself voting for Trump. And there are many people like that. The taunting and the bullying and the nonsense from the Lincoln Project and, you know, people associated with them is worthless. All it does is give Democrats this Pavlovian response where they salivate and like they get this joyful, giddy reaction. Oh, look, these good Republicans. They would, if Mitt Romney were nominee, Mittens Romney, a good Republican, they would turn and then do the same thing to Democrats. Again, they opposed marriage equality. And Bill Kristol there's public record for decades on his viewpoints, especially opposing marriage equality and these people wanted a marriage amendment. Yet they're not canceled. Gee, I wonder why. It's almost as if the left cancels people based on what's good for them politically. And so, I mean, but again, like, you have this complete, alternate reality. Ebenezer Adams. Don't forget about the money France lost when the Mistral deal with Russia was scuttled in 2015, 1.2 billion. That's right. Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So, sorry about that. Ebenezer, thank you so very much. Thank you. But let's continue with this.
My life here, I want to believe in our justice system, but you see Roger Stone facing, in effect, life in prison.
That's right.
Over lying about much less. You see the whistleblower venerated as a Christ figure. You were a legitimate whistleblower, and you went to jail. Mm-hmm. And you got to sort of wonder, actually, is this on the level? I'm sorry to say it.
Well, I was talking about this with my children the other day, and they asked essentially the same question. And I said, when I was growing up, I just always assumed that adults were smarter than kids and that adults were fair because they were adults. And we've all come to realize that that's just simply not true. People have political axes to grind. Sometimes karma is a real thing, and sometimes there is justice in the end. Perhaps this will be one of those times.
There not only are adults completely disingenuous oftentimes and duplicitous, but there are people, and I know them, who have known friends for their whole lives, lifelong friends or family members who disown people because of Trump being mean when they vote for somebody who has said things that are worse in Biden, done things that are worse, Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan. I mean, presided over the absolute greatest catastrophe in terms of diplomacy or foreign policy with Afghanistan. And all Biden had to do was abide by the Doha Agreement. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do is abide by the Doha Agreement. It wasn't difficult, but mashed potato brains messed that up. 13 Americans and 169 Afghans lost their lives directly because Biden used the T-ban as security. He should never have done that. That was the most foolish, completely irrational thing to do. Why would you use the T-ban? I don't think that was part of the Doha Agreement. But he did that. That's what bumbling Blinken and his administration did. It makes no sense at all, but that's the way it's all public relations. What makes Biden's administration CMW. Thank you, CMW, as always. Thank you. Thank you. So the term limits would be comforting. I agree with you on that. Also, the campaign finance issue is a big issue. That is a huge thing. CMW, thank you so very, very much. As always, I agree with you on that. Term limits should be embraced by both political parties. Nothing good happens when... I mean, I like Rand Paul. I think he's fantastic. And Ron Johnson. But you know what? Term limits are important. Very important. CMW, thank you so very much. As always, thank you. Thank you very much, CMW. Thank you. I agree with you 100%. Let's look at now Devin Nunes, who, by the way, should be Speaker of the House. If Republicans, I like Kevin McCarthy, very nice person, I'm sure. If they have Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, it's going to be the same thing as always. You need to have somebody like Devin Nunes or Jim Jordan. And that's it. There's no in between. All right, listen to this.
Trouble.
Well, he's hardly in the clear, and the good thing is that you don't see Durham, who's a professional prosecutor. We have real grown-ups now that are running this investigation. So I don't think Brennan's in the clear at all. With that said, we need to know what Brennan knew and when he knew it. And the key question is he's made some pretty clear comments that he knew about Russians that were talking to the Trump people.
So he stated this under oath. He lied under oath again. CMW, thank you. He lied under oath again. He lied under oath again. I mean, these people are professional liars, but the way, look, they call Trump a liar. And compared to media, compared to Democrats, all Trump was doing for 4 years was telling the truth. They said he worked with Russia. He said he didn't. Every single time he said he never worked with Russia, he was telling the truth. Every single time they said he was tied to Putin, they were lying. That was literally hundreds of times a day. On Twitter, tens of thousands of times a day. They were obsessed with accusing Trump of everything under the sun. They said his tax returns were criminal. They said his tax returns were linked to Putin. They never indicted or charged Trump because they never had evidence to do so. They never had evidence to do so because they don't care. They want to be able to level as many allegations as Trump while at the same time hide people like Hunter or give these warped, the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life was, well, Biden was not bragging about forcing out a prosecutor and withholding $1 billion in aid. See, he actually withheld aid, and then Trump was impeached for the notion that he withheld military aid. It was actually Biden who bragged about, they literally accused Trump of everything they're guilty of. Uranium prices are now through the roof. Whenever I would tell people, hey, you know what? President Obama, according to Snopes even, could have vetoed the sale, but didn't, of the Uranium One sale. That eventually gave 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to Putin. Every time I said that to any liberal, they would say, well, it's a commodity. Yeah, I know it's a commodity. What's the point? Well, it's just a commodity. Yeah, I know it's a commodity. Now it's at an all-time high. Uranium prices and all commodities are at record highs. Who do you think has benefited from the uranium sale under President Obama? Or under Biden not being able to talk about the origins of you-know-what? Who do you think benefits? Our geopolitical rivals benefit because their interests correspond directly with the Democratic Party's interests. And that's not hyperbole. CMW, thank you. You will never find a person... There's not many people who truly believe Trump worked with Russia. The people who do have suspended logic and are easy to just... it's easy to refute. Very easy to refute any of their nonsense. But let's listen to Devin Nunes.
Well, it appears now that we've pulled all of this back and all the evidence has been laid on the table. The only Trump people that we know that were talking to the Russians were Carter Page, who he wasn't actually talking to Russians. He took a trip to Moscow, and when we all know how that went, Carter Page was framed, and that was produced. You
know who also talked to the Russians? A guy named Putin. You know who was talking to him? Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton met with Putin, got $500,000 from a Russian bank. Then they went after Trump with a bank server. Everything they're accused of, they just make up, fabricate a story. So there was a server with a bank. So you've just taken the spotlight away from Bill and Hillary. He worked with Russia. So the Uranium One deal, spotlight away from that, which Mueller was FBI director during. I mean, you green light if you're President Obama, you could have vetoed the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity, and you didn't. Why not? Why didn't you? Oh, because it's a commodity. Yeah, it's a commodity. Why do you keep bringing it up? It's a commodity. Yeah, I know, it's a commodity. It's now at record highs. Guess who benefits? You think Putin is afraid of Democrats? He loves Democrats. Oh my God. All of these rivals that we have love Democrats because Democrats want to stifle speech. You can't, if you stifle and suppress speech, which is hilarious because the person who's trying to expose Facebook, she's like, they put profits above democracy. Well, what's your definition of democracy? Voting for mashed potato brains? Cheating Bernie Sanders? What's your definition of democracy? This is a Lincoln Project tactic, by the way. This is what the Bush-Cheney-Rumsfeld Republicans are the template for today's Democrats. They're totally fine with that, by the way. But let's continue.
Produced by the Democratic National Committee, that information. So did Brennan have this information? If so, who gave it to him? Did the Democrat National Committee give it to him? Did the Hillary Clinton campaign give it to him? But clearly he should have known that this would not have been real intelligence that should have been used to target a political campaign. And I think that's
so the issue
from our vantage point, Republicans, I mean, that's what we want to know from him.
He obviously knew everything. Obviously this all starts with Brennan, even before Clapper. And it starts with President Obama. The notion that President Obama wouldn't be, the notion that the most powerful man on the planet at that point, who, by the way, had, like, Trump was not, in a way, not the most powerful man on the planet as president because he didn't have media. Media, intelligence agencies, they were all against him. He was a president trying to literally put America first. Literally, that is a bad way of thinking for Democrats. So they have their own version of America first, which is actually suppressing thought, silencing speech, allowing a uranium sale to Putin, not talking about the origins of you-know-what. This is how they put America first. Convincing themselves that Russia fears them when they complain about Russia hacking everything that every computer they've ever owned, even Hunter's laptop, which of course wasn't hacked by Russia, which is so absurd. It's this little blanket. Anything that goes bad for them, it could be Russian disinformation. We don't know. It's like, no, it's not. The Russians didn't write the DNC emails. You guys did. So, but you had, they're so ignorant of history too. You have people saying, "Oh, he's a despot, a tyrant." You don't know anything about history. You must not know anything about history if you think Trump is a despot or tyrant. He doesn't even have his own intelligence agencies on his side. He was literally set up and framed by media and his own government. So tell me a despot or tyrant that's, I don't think Saddam was set up and framed by his own government. I don't think all these despots and tyrants, they're the ones who set up and utilize secret police and government against their political rivals. That's what happened to Trump. But then again, you're talking about people who are completely ignorant of history. They claim to be, even these historians, you see these historians that are like, they've written books and they're like, "Oh, Trump, this is unique in American history." It's like, well, did you ever take a second to ask if maybe media was different or treated other presidents differently than they did Trump? Maybe the actual United States government treated other presidents. Name me an incoming candidate that was set up and framed by their own government. You won't find one. We used to have a peaceful transition of power. That changed with President Obama. So, but to not be able to differentiate media's contempt for Trump, when you cannot draw a distinction between who Trump is and how media has portrayed him, you have a problem. You should never be listened to. If somebody says to me, I don't like Trump, but, if you vote for him, it's fine. Great, I respect that person. I don't need everyone to like Trump. If you say to me, hey, you know what? He's not my cup of tea. In fact, I can't stand him. But if you vote for him, no problem. It's the people who have this religious fervor, this cult-like mania that they can't talk to you, or they can't be your friend, or they must disown you, or they must lecture you. It's like, you're not going to lecture me. And if you're watching, you're not going to be lectured either. We know more about history than these people. And anyone who says you're on the wrong side of history, no, actually, I'm on the right side of history voting for Trump. You're on the side of the Central Intelligence Agency and Hollywood directors. Please tell me when Hollywood as an industry and the intelligence agencies have been on the right side of history. I'll wait for your answer. Tell me when media, Hollywood, the intelligence agencies, and political operatives have been on the right side of history. Okay? The worst thing Trump ever did was win. He also allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, made the funding permanent. We had record low black and Latino unemployment. We don't have that. Actually, it's getting very bad under Biden. Sorry, it's October now. You can't blame Trump for anything. You couldn't blame Trump for anything 5 months ago, but it's October. Biden owns this economy. Democrats own everything from here on out forever. You can't blame Trump for the impending financial crisis. We're going to have a financial crisis. And I've been saying that we have food shortages now, labor shortages, supply chain is broken. And it's like we have... Irma, thank you. We have supply chain shortages. We have labor. How do you have labor shortages and unemployment goes down? Can somebody explain this to me? Can some Nobel Prize winning economist here help me out? How do you have labor shortages and then they say, the unemployment numbers are out. We missed by 300,000 jobs created, but unemployment went down. And then I heard recently, it's about 4%. It's close to 3.9%. That's full employment. Full employment? Really? Does full employment mean labor shortages and thousands of flights canceled? Is this normal? Is this even normal? What world are we living in? What kind of dystopian nightmare? This is, like I told you, you will never have everyone here. Hear me now, believe me later. Everyone here, all 761 people, you will never have a moment ever in your life where you can tell the Democrat you love, the morally superior liberal you love, I told you so. It will never happen in your lifetime, so don't even think about it. Because no matter how terrible things get, like I always say, you could be, you know what, I'll change it up. You could be swimming 10 feet from shore. 3 great white sharks, 5 jellyfish, piranha and barracuda could be like racing towards you. A lightning strike could hit you as you're in the water. The boat from Jaws could run into you. A harpoon could go your way from a whaler. And, you could, and then there's a riptide. So you're being pulled out to sea. And the person next to you being pulled out to sea with the barracuda and the piranha and the great white shark and the jellyfish and the harpoon and the lightning strike and everything, they'll say, at least Trump's not tweeting. And this is right before the piranha start gnawing at your leg, and you'll get bones soon, and the great white will take your head off, and then everything else, lightning will hit you again, you'll start glowing. They'll say at least Trump is not president. Don't you understand? It's a good day. It's a good day. Yeah, the barracuda and the piranha and everything. It's a fantastic day. Yes. We don't have Trump. It doesn't matter how bad things get. Do you understand? They're obsessed. It's like they're almost lost their mind. Their will has been broken. Their will has been broken. Their spirit has been broken. Their spirit has been broken. Do you understand? When your spirit is broken, when all you can do is obsess over one person, like they don't bring up anything good they've done. Tell me, why don't you give me something that Biden has done for the economy or for American society? He did one good thing. I'll give him that. Other than that, tell me, how, are we better off after 1 year? We're worse. We didn't even have these supply chain issues with Trump. We didn't have these supply chain issues. It is horrible. Inflation is rampant. We have Evergrande that just missed. Oh, by the way, Evergrande just missed read my article in the Federalist. Read my article in the Federalist, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a stock market crash. And I have been telling you, ladies and gentlemen, save your money. Every month, save your money. In a savings account. Make sure you have a rainy day fund. Because we are unfortunately going to experience some really tough times ahead. Evergrande misses third round of bond coupon payments, intensifying contagion fears. Now that I'm getting back into finance, because that used to be what I did 20 years ago. I used to be a financial advisor for Morgan Stanley and other firms. I'm reminded of how the financial media is very similar to TMZ and CNN. Although the one good thing about CNBC, the one good thing is that they really are apolitical. They don't talk. They don't try to. They just focus on business. It's like the one place that's left on this planet that Democrats haven't infiltrated to try to brainwash people. Because a lot of them are Trump supporters. A lot of them like Trump because they know he was good for the economy. But here, Evergrande misses third round of bond coupon payments, intensifying contagion fears. Let's see. They're going to default. They can't even pay $148 million in a bond payment. But they're going to not default on $305 billion? How does that work? The initial fear with Evergrande, China's second largest real estate company, the experts on Wall Street said, "Oh, could it be a contagion? Could it lead to economic distress in our country? Oh, I don't know. Oh, just maybe. Do you think they're going to pay back the $305 billion they said that they were going to, and we trust them. And also, President Xi said he wants peaceful reunification. This is how messed up American media is. After 150 planes fly over Taiwanese airspace, the day after, President Xi does a speech, performs a speech, and all of American media, he said peaceful. He said peaceful. They're better towards Xi than they were to Trump. Trump also said peaceful. He didn't fly 150 jets though, fighter jets, over someone's airspace. But it's like, this is how we work as a country, and this is like, God bless them. I say that it's the Miami Hurricanes 90s mentality. I'm a USC Trojan fan, but it's the 90s Hurricanes. If you don't want them celebrating in the end zone, stop them from getting in. Okay? When Jerry Nadler is your nose tackle, you have problems. So, when you have Eric Swalwell playing DB, and, you have Democrats playing defense, you could forget about it. When Chris Hayes and Bernie Sanders, when these people are playing defense, you could pretty much kiss the game goodbye. So there's every one of our rivals are now celebrating in the end zone. It's just a matter of they're going to run up the score. They're going to run up the score. And it's like there's nothing we can do. Mashed potato brains in 1 year has plunged this country, and they don't see it. They don't see it. They don't see it. They don't, like I said, they don't see it. They're like, we're gonna infrastructure bill, and we're gonna give a child care and everything. You've kept people poor. What good is a government program when you're keeping people poor? And they're like, oh, economic growth is demand and the GDP is up. Yeah, you've allowed the country to function. Ooh, wow, big deal. Congratulations. Thank you so much for allowing us to live life. Oh, we're so happy. Oh, by the way, there's 60 to 70 cargo and container ships. We have a shortage of dock workers, anchored outside of ports in Long Beach. We have a shortage of dock workers. We have a shortage of truck drivers. We have a shortage of frontline people that used to be revered, but we won't talk about that. We have thousands of flights rescheduled. And he's like, this is really working out. Like, no, it's not. It's not working out at all. Shelves are like, it's like the Soviet Union now in some grocery stores. What else? What other good news do we have? Inflation is rampant. We still have an all-time high in margin debt. We have a derivatives nightmare. A derivatives nightmare, ladies and gentlemen, that I talked about in my Federalist article. Mostly peaceful invasion. Yano, hello. Mostly peaceful. Sharon Isaacson. Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Exactly, JG. Shortage of truth. Thank you, JG. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, JG. Thank you. Sharon Isaacson. Sharon, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Sharon. I hope all is well. Hope all is well, Sharon. Thank you. I mean, this... Okay, we have our southern geographic region of our country is experiencing atrocities that AOC doesn't care about. AOC has to be the biggest hypocrite, one of the biggest hypocrites in American history. Takes a photo where you can't even see the detention facility or the immigration facility. You can't even see what she's looking at during Trump's administration. She doesn't even bother to take the photo during Biden. No photo. It's like a Seinfeld skit with AOC. No photo for you. No photo for you, people who are suffering and atrocities. Atrocities are taking place right now. Worse than anything that took place in Trump's administration. Worse. Do you think the people who didn't want to talk to you because of Trump care? They don't even know. They're completely clueless. They're completely clueless. They're like General Milley, who's reading Robin DiAngelo or whatever. How do you go from MacArthur and Patton and Eisenhower to Schwarzkopf to Milley? How does that happen? How does that happen? And then Milley calls another country to let them know we're not going to strike. What is that? What is this? How does that happen? How does that happen? Liana Conley, thank you. Liana Conley, thank you so very, very much. Sharon, thank you. Liana, thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you, Liana. Thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Liana, greatly appreciated. Some bondholders say they did not receive coupon payments totaling $148 million on Evergrande's April 2022, April 2023, and April 2024 notes. Gee, you think maybe the second largest real estate developer in China will go bankrupt? Very likely. You think maybe that's going to affect the United States of America? Well, yeah, seeing that we have $1 trillion in companies from China in our stock exchanges, yeah, certainly. And everything that happens in that country happens here. They had problems with supply chain. They have 240 or so cargo and container ships. China has 240 cargo and container ships outside of docks, anchored outside of docks. Okay, we have, 60, 70, 80, if you count other ports. How is this normal? This is not normal. But it's like, there are like 5 different issues. Immigration, there are atrocities taking place. The economy, we're heading towards a financial catastrophe, stock market crash, save your money. My God. As I beg for super chat. Okay, we're going to have a stock market crash. AOC doesn't care about what she cared about the other year. Foreign policy is a disaster. France is like, you know what? Shove it where the sun don't shine. Where the sun doesn't shine. So France withdrew its ambassador. China is either about to invade Taiwan or slowly preparing a blockade. The blockade of Taiwan is Then they say, well, they're not going to do it before the Olympics. Why not? Please tell me why not. The average memory span, the average attention span, a meteor could crash into Earth and half the Earth could crumble off. And the week after, what's trending on Twitter with Trump, a new book, and then they'd forget about it. We'd be like floating and descending into like all these different orbits, but they'd be like with their, oh my gosh, a new book on Trump. Oh, we have an attention span of like a gnat. So, Master of Blackjack Channel 2. We have a shortage of workers, goods, materials, and rampant inflation. Let's do an infrastructure. Show me the economists that say that's logical. Master of Blackjack Channel 2. Not only do they say it's illogical, but the National Association of Manufacturers says that basically 2 economists performed a study, 1 million jobs lost in 2 years. Master of Blackjack Channel 2, thank you so very much. 1 million jobs lost because of the infrastructure bill in 2 years. 1 million jobs lost in 2 years. I mean, it's almost as if they're trying desperately to ruin us. It's unbelievable. Thank you so very, very much, Bogdana Papai! As a person wanting to leave the greater Seattle area, what are your thoughts regarding freedom in Texas versus Florida? Or do you think another state is being overlooked? Bogdana Papai, look at Montana. Look at Montana. I know you might say it's cold because of Texas and Florida, but I think you're going to get a lot more for your money. Look at Montana. Look at Idaho. Am I wrong, ladies and gentlemen? Texas, I love Florida. Love Florida. Florida man bear. Love Florida, but I would say Texas first. Or Florida. Love Florida, but I would say Texas first. Bogdana Papai. Love Florida, though. But Texas at this time, oh, you know what? Both are good. Both are good. It depends where in Florida, but I would say Texas. But Bogdana Papai, think of Montana. You can, I mean, it might be, well, actually, if you're in Seattle, it's not going to be that different at all. In fact, it could be warmer in certain. Actually, you have more sun in Montana. Think of Montana. Look into Montana and Idaho. Bogdana Papai. Bogdana Papai, thank you so very much. Look at Montana, and you could look. I mean, Billings. All these places are supposed to be, Great Falls are supposed to be beautiful. Absolute Bozeman is supposed to be absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And free. I mean, look, the Tucker Carlson fishing supply store person, I'm sure that's like 1 in a million. Very likely, I don't know what was going on there. But am I wrong? Ladies, do I have any viewers in Montana? You know, Montana is gorgeous, and I think it's like a gem. You could get a lot for your money there. You know, I think that you look at real estate and Liana, yes, Montana, Idaho, Utah's beautiful. But I would say, Bogdana Papai, look at Montana. Just look at it. Billings, Missoula, Great Falls, Bozeman, Butte. Well, that's really small. But all of these places are supposed to be really, 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 really beautiful. Really beautiful. And, I mean, I think you probably have the difference in freedom and normality and sanity will be night and day, like night and day. So I would say in Idaho also. South Dakota, Montana. I would say Bogdana Papai, look at that also. But if it's a choice between Texas and Florida, I would probably say it would be close. I'd pick Texas. But Florida's fantastic also. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, people are leaving. They're not, California, people are leaving California. Is the first time California first time in a long, long time, it fell by 182,000. It actually declined for the first time. Okay? Taxes. You pay taxes. Lots of taxes. Taxes. You have no... This is like when like AOC, like, you know, like Bernie, they never lived in California. So they don't really know. Well, they live in New York, but So they're used to taxes, but Bogdanapapaya, Montana. Think of it. Look into it. I think you'll like it. But you have this country. It's like media is trying desperately to prop up Biden. But imagine it is now, okay, it is October 12th, 2021. Okay. Food prices rise to highest level in a decade amid labor shortages and supply crisis. Can you get a better headline? Can you get a better headline than that? Okay? Is there anything that tells you more about Biden's America than this? Is there anything that could possibly be written? They care about what Trump said in a book that was made up and fabricated. They don't care about food prices rise. Listen to this. Listen to the beauty of this, which is horrible, but listen to how, not hilarious, because it's not hilarious, but listen to just how, when you say these words, the Democrats don't hear it. It actually reaches before a morally superior liberal, before the sound of the words get to the person's ear, it goes into some kind of alternate reality. So, like quantum theory or quantum physics. So it actually doesn't reach, they can't hear this. It's like a sound that only certain like creatures can hear. So when I say this, the Biden voter will not hear this actually. Food prices rise to highest level in a decade amid labor shortages and supply crisis. Why don't you just add Halley's Comet being redirected towards Earth as the last part of the sentence? I mean, it is a year into Biden's miserably failed presidency. Do you think we're going up or about to crash? This is during margin debt being at an all-time high. J-Spot51, hello. This is while margin debt is at an all-time high in the stock market. Michael Burry is going to make out big. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. He probably has more than just, shorting Tesla. Michael Burry is going to make out big, probably more than 2008. Food prices rise to highest level in a decade. Let's read this. Food prices have reached their highest levels in a decade. Okay, again, this is as the you-know-what continues to wreak havoc on businesses. Okay, the you-know-what did not wreak havoc on anyone. The imbeciles who overreacted in the most irrational and apoplectic manner, their decisions. It was a decision. You could have gone the way of Sweden or gone the way of the Roman Empire. We will never get back Trump's economy. And I don't know when we're going to have a normal economy again. Because we've added $4 trillion, $5 trillion to the national debt. And Biden's infrastructure bill will do nothing. We're probably a long way away. We're a long way away from being bankrupt as a country. But it's Biden's infrastructure bill takes us more towards that. Like, it doesn't do anything for economic growth, but it adds more debt. And we have what, a $1.5 trillion deficit? When it was Trump with tax cuts that were actually growing the economy, they cared about the deficit. Now the deficit's the same, or actually more, but the economy is not growing. The economy is growing in terms of aggregate numbers only because we've allowed the economy to function. But it's not really growing. It's actually subsiding now. We're in negative territory on real final sales, which is part of GDP. So, Dallas Inc., thank you so very, very much. Yeah, the morally superior and often almost always apoplectic. Wonderful liberal Democrats. Among the commodities, vegetable oil saw the highest increase. And then you have no Biden's not. First you had no, there's not a demon a demon wasn't listening to Biden's speech in Congress. No, there wasn't a demonic presence. No. It's like when you have to fact check whether an evil spirit was in Congress while Biden was slurring his speech. You have a big problem on your political side. Oh, and then they go like, I love when they talk about this Facebook thing. This is a big tobacco moment. No, it's not, you imbeciles. Everything is such hyperbole and sensationalized. It's so ridiculous. This is a big tobacco moment. Really? Really? People, God forbid, are dying of cancer because of Facebook? I don't think so. So then it's not a big tobacco moment. But speaking of, more people lost their lives from cancer and heart disease last year than you know what. But you better believe McDonald's was open. Oh, McDonald's is never going to be closed. You better believe McDonald's was open, and chocolate and candy and none of these things were banned. Alcoholism increased. I mean, it's almost as if all you have to do, because Republicans don't ever push back. Hopefully, we'll get a Republican Party that does push back. Leanna Conley. Remember when $1 billion was a lot of money to Congress? Exactly. Oh my God, yes. $1 trillion used to be an obscene amount. Now it's just, Now they want to print $1 trillion coin. Leanna Conley, they want to print $1 trillion coin now. Just print $1 trillion coin. What's the problem? What's the problem? I print $1 trillion coin. No problem. What's the big deal? Well, what do? We're spending so much money, and McConnell is bringing us to the brink of bankruptcy and default. McConnell. Well, why don't you just print $1 trillion coin? No big deal. Just print $1 trillion coin and put Trump's commemorative coin. Could you imagine if they printed $1 trillion coin and they actually minted Trump's face on it? Like, no! They actually would go into default. If it was the choice between... Can you imagine if a Trump loyalist, printed his commemorative coin? He's like, And then you hear Trump on Fox, and it's the best coin ever. And then you, the collective, Ree! They would actually say, let's just default. If it was a choice between going bankrupt, defaulting, having another country as the world's reserve currency, or utilizing $1 trillion coin with Trump's face on it, they would much rather go default. It wouldn't even be a choice, actually. They would actually love it. They would be so happy. You know what? It's a bad choice we have to make, but we can't have Trump on the $1 trillion coin. So we'll default. And the Republicans brought us to this brink of madness. So, it's pretty unbelievable. So, oh, jeez. Liana, thank you. Thank you so very, very much. They would totally default if it was, can you imagine? The school districts crippled by food supply shortages. This is Biden's America. We had record low unemployment. We had record low, and Bill Maher was like, "Oh yeah, we need a recession." Well, we got more than that. School districts crippled by food supply shortages could have returned to remote learning. Oh my God. This is idiocracy, but the left always tries to point it to the right. No, it's actually idiocracy of the left. Schools struggle to get food to students amid supply shortage. This is the greatest country in the world. Ebenezer Adams. Will that coin have the flat earth on the obverse? Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Exactly. Look at this. This is a record for taking the best economy in the world and making it the worst. Exactly. Ebenezer Adams, thank you so very, very, very much. We took a wonderful economy. And honestly, though, Trump should have pushed back. Honestly, I understand he couldn't have, but he should have pushed back. He should never have allowed the maniacs. He should never have allowed the maniacs to even think. Shutting down and ending the American economy for a year should never have been on the table. That should never have been on the table. How do you do this? How do you do this? Experts can be wrong. Authorities can be wrong. It's a logical fallacy to appeal to authority all the time. And then I love when you look at these, when you read the definition of appeal to authority, you know that a lot of these definitions have been altered the past year. So you get it's a logical fallacy to just appeal to authority and have that be your argument. But then it always the definitions are but the consensus of the authorities shouldn't be overlooked, and oftentimes almost always are right. It's that's not true. An appeal to authority. First of all, we look at what Finland and Sweden and Norway and Denmark are doing, and look at what we're doing. All the smartest people on the left say, look at the Nordic countries. Well, yeah, okay. And look what they're doing now. Oh, not in terms of that. No. So, Ebenezer Adams, thank you. Obama's economy was definitely not better than Trump's. Definitely, objectively not better by any measurement. Unemployment was better. We had more manufacturing jobs. GDP grew faster. Then they say, GDP grew faster in President Obama's last 3 years. Okay, his last 3 years. Well, Trump's last 3 years of his second term never happened. Had we had President Trump without Democrats and media gleefully tanking the world economy or the U.S. economy, gleefully, yes, we understood it was a serious issue and we needed to do lots of things. Yes, but to end the economy, we had record-breaking economy. It was an amazing economy. Much better than President Obama's economy. He was actually on pace within his first year of his second term to break President Obama's job creation numbers. And up until the middle of President Obama's terms, we still had record highs in unemployment. That was the recession officially ended in 2009. like this, or beginning of 2010. We still had high unemployment 2012, 2013. You can look at the numbers. So there's objectively no way President Obama's economy was better than Trump's. Now, 2020 is a different story. The people who add 2020 to Trump's economic record are being disingenuous. They know very well it was Democrats that gleefully wanted. He wanted to open up the economy in May of last year. In May. Okay, they wouldn't let that happen. They simply would not let that happen. So, no, there's experts that disagree. The experts that disagree with Democratic Party experts are marginalized, silenced, hit pieces by media. You risk your livelihood and well-being. There are experts in Denmark, for example, and Sweden and other countries that completely disagree with our experts. But again, we have a media that only champions one narrative and says it's a consensus, which of course it's not. Anyone with a functioning brain cell knows there is no consensus on major issues. There is always a difference of opinion or thought. It's just a matter of a political struggle, and the political struggle is won by Democrats because they have media, and they have Hollywood, and they have social media algorithms. They have every conceivable advantage, and still 73 million Americans have enough critical thinking skills to say, nah, I'm not going to vote for Biden. The only good thing, it won't be a good thing, but the only thing that will kind of break this stranglehold that Democrats have on the country is when there's a stock market crash. And I don't want it to happen, but it will happen. The only good thing is people are going to suffer and it's going to be terrible. That's why I say save your money every month. As I beg for Super Chat, save your money. $50, $60, $100, $1,000. Just save your money every month. Make sure you have a rainy day fund. If you're in the stock market and you're about to retire in a year, you would be foolish to stay in the stock market. There's no point in it. You're at all-time highs now in terms of the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, and you have an all-time high in margin debt, and schools can't even feed their students. Corporate profits are going to decline. Quantitative easing is going to stop. The Fed is going to taper. Interest rates are going to go up. These are all facts. This is not like nobody even doubts. Even the people who are optimistic don't doubt this. It's not if tapering or interest rates go up. It's not if tapering begins. It's when tapering will begin. It is 100% certainty. So what do you think's going to happen in the stock market? And the stock market's always like, they say 5 or 6 months ahead or 4 months ahead of whatever they price things in. Well, how many more Evergrandes are there? You're going to have these calamities, Evergrande, Archegos, you're going to have these calamities pop up. The system is at the brink now. Like, the system is about to implode. The system is about to implode. Jerome Powell, when he speaks about inflation, he's lying. These people are looking into the camera and lying to you. And then they say Trump, he said it was the best record-breaking economy. In fact, we found out that in 1957, it was better. Yay! Dun, 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 dun. 75,000 Pinocchios for Trump. Did you give any Pinocchios for John Brennan and Clapper and Comey and all of them when they said that Trump worked with Russia? Or they were investigating based on sincere belief that national security was at stake? Oh, no, you can't prove that they were political. This is the mindset. They hide behind plausible deniability when they know that it's obviously, it was all a setup against Trump. the system right now, our economic system is, we have a stock market that is being inflated by stimulus and monetary stimulus and fiscal stimulus. Then we have this moral hazard we created of the all-time high in margin debt. Then we have, similar to credit default swap derivatives, purchased on margin debt, borrowed money. Well, when things are going up, it's no problem. But if you have a 4,000 point drop in one day, or a 5,000 point drop, or a 4,000 or 3,000 point drop, or a 2,000 point drop, and then a 2,000 point drop a couple days later, and then another 2,000 or 3,000 point drop and a couple days later, the system will implode. Hedge funds will go under. Some banks might need a bailout. And you've already had the national debt at $28 trillion. And interest rates are already at zero. And banks right now are not lending money. Liquidity is drying up even now. How do you have liquidity drying up in the American economy when you've pumped so much money into it? Well, because you shut down economic activity. It's not a natural thing to do. Yes. Got it. Blah. Yeah. Yeah. How do you have bank loans drying up? Does that make any sense? Oh, and then you have gas prices, natural gas double, oil at a 7-year high. So, I mean, do they just don't think that corporate profits will ever go down? Like, it's record profits. Oh, some of these companies, especially a lot of banks, their revenues went down, but they tapped into their cash. So they got record profits by tapping into their cash. Where's that article? So hold on. A revenue recession. Forbes, Banks 2020 reality, a revenue recession. Consumer banking revenues declined 3% in Q2 of 2021. Down 7% from a year prior. How are you down? Can somebody explain how you're down 7%? Oh, okay, that's right, from a year prior, which was, okay, before we tanked the entire economy. So, how do you have bank revenues down when you're supposed to have an economy that's soaring? We have an all-time high in the stock market. This thing is going to crash so hard. And they keep on saying, oh, the U.S. economy is recovering. If God forbid you've broken your leg and you're recovering, simply the fact that you could walk doesn't mean you could, start a track meet now. So it's like everything is public relations. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. Where's the precedent for ending all economic activity for a year? I would like to know how you circumvent another financial collapse from a supply chain being broken and demand skyrocketing and all the other problems, shortages, everything. How do you circumvent all of the problems that come with such an absurd decision? It was a choice, by the way. Also, never allow media or anyone to say, well, it was you know what brought us this. No, you know what didn't bring you this, imbecile. Your decision. We all make decisions in life. You should strive always to be happy in life. That should be, happiness is what everyone should strive for themselves and their families and their friends. But if you're not happy, you should then change things up or address the issue and, do things to make yourself happy or to change your life to where you can eventually be happy. Democrats, what they did was they took a situation where we were already functioning. The average person was happy and flourishing in many cases, okay? And you upended everything because of hysteria and this mania. And now you think that you're recovering. It's like, no, that's not. You're not recovering. We're not recovering. We're barely functioning. Thank you, Submaster76. Thank you so much. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please, please, please read my Federalist article. It will be below in the pinned comment. Let's see here. I find this fascinating. Michael Burry and Tesla. He has $730 million in shorting Tesla. So this is really, really, really interesting. I'll read you a Business Insider article. This is really interesting. And Michael Burry is going to be right again. Big short investor Michael Burry ramps up his bet against Tesla. And nothing against Tesla. I'm just saying, he'll be right about the overall market. And reveals a new wager against Cathie Wood's ARK investment. The Big Short investor disclosed puts when you're betting a company will go down in price on about 1.1 million Tesla shares, up from 800,000. And then he put 235,000 shares on puts on Wood's ARK investment ETF, innovation ETF, with all, climate change and all that stuff. Companies that are addressing the future. Michael Burry has increased his wager against Elon Musk and placed a new bet against Cathie Wood. Burry's Scion Asset Management has held bearish put options on nearly 1.1 million shares of Tesla worth $731 million at the end of June. Because Tesla's been going up, so an increase from its puts on 800,000 shares 3 months earlier. The investor has repeatedly accused Musk and his electric vehicle company of overpromising and under-delivering. He also said that Tesla's valuation isn't sustainable and that its stock will collapse. I think the stock will collapse. I think Michael Burry's right. However, Tesla shares are up more than 7-fold since the start of 2020. That's bizarre. That's bizarre to be up 7-fold. Scion has revealed puts on 235,500 shares of ARK Innovation ETF. So Michael Burry is the man. Unfortunately for the country, he's going to be right again. I shouldn't say unfortunately. I mean, the country we were led by morally superior, wonderful liberal experts who ran us into the ground. So you didn't have to end all economic activity. You did so because it hurt Trump primarily, not because of people, of humanity. They did so primarily because it harmed Trump politically. They didn't shut down the entire United States economy to save anyone. They did so primarily because they knew it would tank Trump. And what happened during Biden's administration is that momentum, that hysteria, that mania, it didn't stop. They thought they could put an end to it, but they said, you know what, we can benefit from that too. So, but this is interesting. In a tweet in February that has been deleted, Burry said Wood's promises of disruptive growth and transformative technologies wouldn't be realized. Shades of Gary Pilgrim and PBHG growth from the 1990s and Gerald Tsai and the Manhattan Fund in the 1960s, he tweeted. ARC is defining an era, Burry continued. If you know your history, there's a pattern here that can help you. If you don't, you're doomed to repeat it. Scion made several other, I think he's right. Scion made several other changes to its portfolio last quarter. It snapped up Discovery stock and bought bullish call options on Walmart, Cardinal Health, and McKesson. On the other hand, it sold its stakes in Occidental Petroleum, Meredith, and Zymeworks. Burry is best known for his massive bet against the U.S. housing bubble in the mid-2000s, immortalized in Michael Lewis's book, The Big Short. He also helped pave the way for the GameStop buying frenzy early this year by investing in the video game retailer and pressuring its directors to make changes in 2019. Moral bankruptcy. The Facebook person who testified, moral bankruptcy. Who is anyone on the left to judge morality? This is like a really hilarious, weird, very bizarre element of today's world. And people judging merging politics with morality. The same things they thought immoral with Trump, they're now completely oblivious to, which shows how immoral they were. When you pretend to be morally superior when it's Trump, and you're completely oblivious to what's going on under your watch, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So, let's look here. So they're all talking now about Ivanka Trump. That Trump wanted Ivanka to be head of the World Bank. What was it? And it's like, so what? Who cares? Steve Mnuchin stepped in to prevent Ivanka Trump World Bank appointment. Why would that be a big problem? Please tell me why. Oh, she's not qualified. Well, do you know who runs the World Bank? Do you know who ran the World Bank before the person who runs the World Bank now? No. So, do you know what the World Bank does? It's not rocket science. And I understand, like, okay, yeah, you could say that she doesn't have the qualifications. I get that. But what do you think would happen to the world? We'd have a global supply chain issue. Oh, that's right. We have one now. What more could have taken place? How much worse could we be economically if Ivanka Trump was head of the World Bank? Would there be 240 cargo and container ships outside of China? Did the head of the World Bank prevent that? Who pushed for all of that? Would there be 70, 80 cargo ships outside of Long Beach? This is what they're obsessed over. This is like what they're obsessed over. It's like, who cares? Who cares about this stuff? Yet another example of, so Washington, Biden carries forward a Trump-era Middle East policy. Yeah, because it was a good policy. The Abraham Accords, very good policy. Just like Trump's foreign policy towards North and South Korea, Israel and the Abraham Accords, the tariffs against China, Biden has kept those. So what would it matter? Tell me how, if Ivanka Trump was the head of the World Bank, would we have a worse global supply chain issue or a better global supply chain issue? How much worse could the world be at this point? The World Bank gives loans to countries that are going bankrupt. The World Bank and IMF give loans to countries that are going bankrupt. So tell me, like, what, she wouldn't be able to decipher a country that's going bankrupt? Or we have a lot of countries in the world now because wonderful experts tanked the entire global economy because of you know what. How much worse? So Evergrande wouldn't have gone bankrupt? I want to know what would have taken place. How much worse would the world have been? Now, I'm not saying that she should be the head of the World Bank. I'm saying, who cares? We have a global supply chain that's broken now. Not Ivanka Trump's fault. So what damage would she have done? I would like to know at least what damage she would have done. They keep on obsessing over this story, and I want to know. We have so many problems right now. Inflation, which she have caused natural gas to be 500% more expensive in Europe. I want to know what. She's probably infinitely more qualified to run the World Bank than Hunter Biden was to be on the board of directors of an energy company. No doubt, hands down. But that being said, is she qualified to run the World Bank? No. But I'm saying, how much worse could things be? I know, CG3SSF, I know. Let's see. So, let's see here. In November of 2020, the Dow was at 29,000. About 29,000 500. But hold on, let me just see. Now it's at 34,000. That's 34,500. Now that's a 5,000 point drop. If it gets down to what it was just in November of 2020. So that's not even what 08 was like. But with the all-time high in margin debt, you're looking at a catastrophe, an absolute catastrophe. And when the economy was functioning, the Dow was at like 27,000. So if you go to 25,000, you can go from 34,000 to 25,000 in the Dow in a crash, no problem. That'd be a 30% crash. Around 30%. So, little under 30%. So, but see again, if you have an all-time high in margin debt, it's not going to lying to Peter Strzok. Oh my goodness. Now we're seeing the people that went after the Trump associates, they actually set up and framed everybody. So, U.S. stocks close lower for third straight day. Dow loses more than 100 points. I think that there's going to be a devastating... I wrote about this in the Federalist. I have a stock market crash channel. I'm telling everybody, save your money as I beg for Super Chat. Save your money. Every month, save your money. Every single month, save your money. Just you look at the stock market crash. You look at the stock market, the Dow Jones, this chart, and the economy's functioning very well. It's functioning on all cylinders in January. The Dow is at 29,000. Okay. Then you have March. It goes from 29,000 to 19,000. Okay, so it tanks. But everybody knew why that took place. And everybody knew what would happen. We didn't have an all-time high in margin debt. We didn't have a broken supply chain. We didn't have prices through the roof. We didn't have all of these problems. It rebounded pretty quickly. So by November of that year, last year, there was basically back actually more than when it tanked. And then it just went from 29,000 to 34,000. It could hit 35,000 next week, 2 weeks from now. But when it crashes, it's not going to be good. And smarter, wealthier people than me, Michael Burry, he says something. He says this is going to be way worse than '08. Irma Herrera, thank you so very much. Irma, thank you so very much. Irma Herrera, thank you so very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Irma, thank you. Thank you. Hope all is well. Thank you so much. Irma Herrera, thank you so very much. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. I'm not really technical analysis is not my thing. So I'm not giving you any technical analysis on the Dow Jones. Not my thing. Not my thing at all. But you look at the S&P 500, it's like that could easily tank. Because, 30% to 40% of the S&P 500 is like 10, 12 stocks. 10, 12 companies. The S&P 500, 10 companies, 500 largest companies in the planet, 10 to 12 companies make up a third of its profits. And 40% of the entire S&P's profits are banking and technology. So it doesn't really account for the entire economy at all. But yeah, I mean, anyone can see the writing on the wall. That's what I'm saying. Save your money every month. John Doe, you should stream on Twitch. You would destroy the lefties on there easily. Thank you so very much. You know, one of these days I'm going to Twitch. Honestly, John Doe, thank you so very much. I should do that. I should see what it's like. Thank you so very much, John Doe. Greatly appreciated. That's a great point. That's a great idea, I should say. It is a great idea. I should do that. I agree with you. I think once my channel hits 200,000, hopefully sooner rather than later, I'll try to start branching out. I think 200,000 is a good place where I can, start branching out. Thank you so very much, John Doe. Irma, thank you so very, very, very much. Irma, thank you. So, let's see here. Michael Burry has a tweet that makes me look like an optimist. This is the greatest stock market bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. All right? This is the greatest bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. So, anyways, the U.S. government is inviting inflation with its MMT-tinged policies. Brisk net GDP M2 increases while retail sales PMI stage V recovery, trillions more stimulus and reopening to boost demand as employee and supply chain costs skyrocket. So, I mean, he goes into a lot of, the greatest bubble of all time in all things by 2 orders of magnitude. Oh my God. I've heard this obviously before, but wow. Wowza. Mr. Time. Tick-tock. Mr. Time, thank you. Mr. Time, thank you. Chowderhead, hello. Mr. Time, thank you so very, very much. Thank you, Mr. Time. Thank you. Irma, thank you so very much. Ghost Dog, hello. The greatest bubble of all time in all things. Because the thing is, we have a real estate bubble too. That's what I think he's referring to. Real estate bubble. I mean, if you have a real estate bubble that's about to crash, and you have derivatives that are about to tank, and you have a stock market at all-time highs and margin debt, So where's the where how do you survive financially as an economy? You know. How do you survive financially as an economy? And then, like, I respect the people. Bitcoin, I respect people who invest in Bitcoin. I respect Bitcoin, but that's going to tank also. That's going to tank also. The Babylon Bee. Superman criticized as unrealistic for portraying a journalist as heroic. Oh my god. Is a housing crash, market crash on the way? Probably. I'd say so. Fed is stoking another real estate price bubble that will wipe out home equity. Oh my god. Oh, Peter Schiff, yeah. He's good. Or no, Peter Bookvar. Wow. This was all done by morally superior Democrats. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, all of this. It's not Trump's fault. And the never Trump Republicans, who were too petulant and inept and weak to do anything. I mean, look, they're going to say, well, that's what they're trying to do. They're like, it was the you-know-what. It's like, no, it was your reaction to the you-know-what. They're always trying to deflect blame from their own failed, inept policies. And then they have, can China step off its property treadmill? Not likely. So, they have a real estate debt. And then there's a bond market bubble from interest rates, because of interest rates. So I'm saying, if you are, I don't want to make any firm type of suggestion or advice or give any advice, but if you're about to retire, if I was about to retire in a year, or even 2 years, to tell you the truth, if I was about to retire, I would not be in the stock market at all. I wouldn't be in mutual funds. I don't care. I wouldn't be anywhere near the stock market. I would be, if I was about to retire in a year, I'd be in all cash as much as I can. Liquidity and take profits, because you've probably made a lot of money, the market going up. I would not worry about future gains in the market, because the opportunity cost of you holding on to your principal and gains that you've made versus losing 40%, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. One reason that our country is descending into madness is this emphasis on the word experts. An expert has a very narrowly defined base of knowledge. So if you are a scientist, you should stay far away from the economy. If you're an economist, You should not opine on I don't know, topics that aren't in your lane. Stay in your lane. And it's like there's this emphasis on, well, experts say this, and it always happens to be a public relations scam, because the experts that Democrats point to just always happen to agree with them. They never bring up the experts who disagree with them. Benny V406, excellent work as usual, my friend. Much love from Montana. Keep it up. Thank you, Benny V406. Thank you. Montana is very beautiful. I've never been there, but I look and do some research, and it's very, very beautiful. And Bogdana Papai, one of the Super Chat viewers, wonderful viewers here, was thinking of Florida or Texas. And I said, hey, I told him, Benny, why don't you think of Montana? Montana is gorgeous. And if you look at the real estate in Montana as like what you'll get, what you'd get in a place like in a state like Montana compared to other states is like you could live like a king compared to, you know, California or New York. Benny, thank you so very, very much. Freedom, hello. It's full, stay out. Yes, Benny. I hear you. I don't think there's going to be a mad rush. It's just something. I think that like a place like Montana is just like a diamond, you know, like I don't think you'll have to worry. I know Boise, Idaho has been a lot of people from California go to Boise, Idaho. Have moved. Benny V406, Montana's full. Everyone stay out. Yes, I paid to say that. Yes, I hear you. I hear you, Benny V406. Thank you, Benny. Thank you. Don't worry, you won't get an influx of Californians. That's what I love also about morally superior, oftentimes apoplectic, wonderful, wonderful liberal voters. They leave Democratic-run states, and they have the audacity to take their politics with them. If you cared so much about your politics, why are you leaving the bluest of blue states on the planet? Why are you going to Texas or other places? Benny, thank you. Thank you, Benny. All right. Well, let's wrap this up soon. Here's why experts believe the U.S. is in a housing boom and not a bubble. Well, that you should run whenever you hear something like that. They keep on saying you look at the interest rates, but the interest rates are going to go up. So, you know, interest rates are definitely going to go up. So that's yet another. I mean, everything's pointing to like every single thing is pointing to a major stock market crash, financial crisis, and yet it's unbelievable to see me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Thank you. Add year 3, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends about this channel. Subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel. The link will be below in the pinned comment. Please share my Federalist article on the upcoming stock market crash. Oh, Lord. What am I doing here? And so please subscribe to this channel, to the Stock Market Crash channel. Share my Federalist article that will be below in the pinned comment. Everybody, God bless. Thank you so very much. Eric, Luke, thank you so very much. To my super chat, I cannot thank you enough, everybody. I can't thank you enough. Be here tomorrow night at 7:30. Okay? 7:30. Anita, thank you. Be here at 7:30 p.m., everybody. Thank you, Scarlett. 7:30 p.m., everybody. J Spot, thank you. Randy, everybody here. Tammy, thank you. Eliza, thank you. Be here at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow evening, Pacific. 7:30 p.m. tomorrow evening, Pacific, everybody.